go by Josie Boudreau. Hopefully, I will change my name soon, and that will be Joiex. That's who I go by for my tattooing. I am originally from Clare, the French Shore. I lived in a place called Guruscock. I am Acadian, and we moved to Weymouth area. So still like on the outskirts of Clare, but that's where I'm from. My job brought me to Bridgewater, Nova Scotia. I've been here now for almost two and a half years, 3 years, doing tattooing, and it's been pretty good so far. The best. It's really hard. It's hard to choose just simply because I come in contact with a lot of people who have gone through traumatic events or are becoming more their authentic selves. So I feel really blessed in that sense because I feel like I'm helping them, you know, say a part of their story or express something about themselves they never got a chance to. And those are all really good. There's so many. There was one girl, it happened probably, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. She was in a very abusive relationship. And she wasn't allowed to get tattooed when she was married. And when the divorce happened, a lot happened in her life, but then she came and she's like, I finally want this tattoo. I finally want to do this for myself. So I did that for her, and it was a phoenix, and it said, still I rise. So like throughout all her trauma, it's a solid reminder that, you can go through all this pain in your life and you can come out on top. And I thought that was really cool. And there's so many stories like that. So if I was talking to somebody who was considering getting a tattoo, the first thing I would say is, can you imagine yourself with this for the rest of your life? And then from there, I'd say think about it, because tattoos aren't going anywhere. And if you can meditate on an idea for a year or even longer, especially if it's your first, I mean, that proves that you're really concrete about your decision. So I feel like that would be really wise, and I would encourage that. And then I would think about location too. I feel like a lot of people like to go for places on their body that are painless. No spot on your body is painless. If you really wanted it somewhere, I would highly encourage you to stick with your original thought, because, sometimes what ends up happening is they move it somewhere where they feel like it'll be less painful, and then they regret it because they didn't get it where they wanted it. So always choose the location you want, unless it's like a prime real estate area, like I mentioned before. What ends up happening, especially for your first tattoo, you end up discovering that, hey, it's not as painful as I thought. And then you're going to want huge pieces. And eliminating those big prime real estate areas is a bad idea, because you could do a lot of really nice artwork on a certain spot on your body. So always recommend choosing the right spot and going for what you want and thinking about it and not rushing into it. Surprise lessons, I would say I didn't expect tattooing to help me figure out who I am as much as it did. It's driven me to really be more out there, and like forced me to I've always been such an introvert. I've always hid in my room in high school, and I didn't have very many friends, and I would just stay home, draw. Like, I didn't have much of a social life. So it really forced me out of my shell. I would say the waitressing did too, and so did bartending, but not like tattooing. When you're permanently marking someone for the rest of their life, it makes you scared, because like, not now obviously, but when I first started, it was intense. It was really intense. It forced me to not to have confidence, really, to find myself and to be okay with who I am. And it's nice giving that to someone else too, because they're walking around with it and they're proud and they feel more comfortable in their skin, and that's really, really awesome to see. And I didn't expect it. And I didn't expect all these people and all their stories would affect me the way it did. But there are so many amazing people out there. And I realize that every single day I go to work. And I'm just grateful I'm doing what I'm doing. It's been the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. Oh my God, I've been so shocked. There's this one woman, she has literally the tiniest tattoo. Okay, tiniest little tattoo right here on her arm right here. And her face is tattooed. She has a teardrop on her eye, and she's like 70. And I was just like, unreal. This 7-year-old only has one tattoo, and she freaking tattooed her face, and she loves it. She wears it. She's like so proud of it. And like, that's always a big shocker for me. Like when I see people who are like 70 or 80 and they're like, my husband wouldn't let me get this, and now they can because they're gone or something happened. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they're like finally doing what they always wanted to do. I think that's so cool. That's, like, honestly, one of the best things about getting tattooed is that you get to know a really vulnerable part of them. And I don't know if it's the pain, like they just feel like pouring out information, but sometimes it gets really emotional. I've seen myself cry on numerous occasions with my clients, during and after. So it's like, it's intense. Like when you're marking someone for the rest of their life, if it has to do with past trauma, if it has to do with them just growing as a person and being their authentic selves, you know, it's a very moving experience. I recommend it for everyone, especially someone who thought about it for a long time but was resistant. Um, I can only say good things about tattoos, honestly. My biggest wish would be, I think, for people to be less judgmental. I feel like it's happening. I think it's definitely less frowned upon, like when you're trying to find work and you have a tattoo in an area that's maybe not appropriate to some people. Um, but I definitely see a change and an improvement. But my biggest thing, I think, would be to just have a place where people can get tattooed, have it on their face or like their neck or just whatever it may be. And people just go and see that and think that it's beautiful. And that's it. Of course, if it's like a swastika or something that's negative, that's different. But I mean, not thinking that someone is scary or any sort of negative, anything that you would apply that person in a negative light, and just looking at them with an open mind and appreciating what they went through, pain wise or whatever, and just thinking that it's beautiful. That's my greatest wish for the world of tattooing. And I think we're going there. I think it's going to happen. I feel like it might take more time, but it's definitely, it would be good if everyone saw tattoos in a really good way. I think it's getting there though. I think my biggest message, that if I could give it to somebody, it's just don't give up on your dreams. That's the biggest one. I know life can seem really chaotic and really hard, but if you have a dream, if you wanted to be someone and you're too reluctant to be that person, you know fight for it, never give up. Dreams do come true. I'm living proof. Like, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be able to do this as a career. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. And I don't know. That's all I can really say is just, if you have a dream, go for it. You might surprise yourself. So that's